Good afternoon. This is Grant Strom, the Director of Sales with Managed Design. Thank you for joining us today for the Expediting the BIM workflow with Bluebeam Revu. Our presenter today is going to be Aaron Cordy. He's with Bluebeam Software. He helps us on a day in and day out basis with all of our related work associated with Bluebeam. We've had great success in the 5-state region selling Bluebeam solutions to a lot of our key customers. There's been great feedback with regards to the release of 11.5, and Aaron is going to take us through some of the BIM workflows. So Aaron, take it away.
Thank you very much, Grant. I appreciate the nice introduction. And welcome everybody to Expediting the BIM workflow with Bluebeam Revu. I am Aaron Cordy. I work with Bluebeam Software. A bit of a background on me is that I'm actually a civil engineer by schooling. I do have a PE in the state of California. I was in design for about a year, and then I went and worked for construction for about 3 years, managing some subcontractors building hospitals. While I was in those previous jobs, I used Bluebeam heavily to really save myself a ton of time. I took our whole company pretty much paperless, and it's kind of really changed the way that construction is being done currently, going from paper into more of a PDF world. And that's kind of what we want to discuss today, is how to take certain workflows that you guys experience on a day in and day out basis, specifically within the AEC world, and how Bluebeam Revu has built the tools within the software to expedite this and make your guys' jobs a little bit easier. Now, Bluebeam Revu, those of you that are not familiar with it, is a full PDF creator, editor, markup, and collaboration solution. And you're probably saying, like, what is PDF? We're capable of being able to share model information easily on a stable platform that anyone can access. That's what's nice about working in PDFs. Is the .pdf is an ISO standard. Anything that we create using our software here, you can go ahead and send it to somebody else that maybe has, let's say, Acrobat, and they can actually open it up and see everything that you create, including 3D PDFs, model information, element data, all from there. So today it's going to be talking about the BIM workflow while using our solution, Bluebeam Revu. I'll talk about how there's the design piece, and you have your Revit models, Navisworks models, and you got a ton of information to put into those models. How do we share it quickly and easily down the line? Maybe if it's just design review with some customers, with some of your partners, or it's providing information to the contractor out in the field, even down to responding to RFIs using a 3D model. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and just click to the next slide. We're going to start off with just kind of the basics of paper and the 2D world, and then move more to the 3D concept. And my screen should have updated to show you 2 pictures. This is actually my old trailer. I told you I helped build hospitals for a while. And managing this set of paper here was a nightmare for me, having to go and post RFIs on this sheet here, and that one down there, then over there. Change orders will come out, I have to flip sheet them, move those RFIs up. It was a total, really, I felt like it would be a waste of my time. So I said there had to be a better way. So instead of having to go here and see there's an RFI, at this point, RFI number 1, 2, 3, okay, what does that mean? Walk down around this table over here, all the way back over here, grab the appropriate binder, bring it all the way back around here, see what the RFI means to me. Hey, look, it's pointing me to a different sheet completely. Got to walk back around over to this sheet over here to get the information I need. We streamlined that by putting everything in a .pdf file format, hyperlinking our documents together, posting things electronically, and it really allowed us to go to a digital plan room with like these 2 TVs here, with a local area network hosting all of our hyperlink files together. So this is what we do on a daily basis in the 2D world. I'm going to start with some of the 2D capabilities and then progress to 3D as we go along. But this is what we see a lot of our customers doing, not just the architects, not just the contractors and subcontractors in the field. We see a lot of architects, engineers, consultants all using this, and honestly the owners love it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide here. I kind of told you that we build a lot of our solutions built specifically for AEC. And the tools that you see in the software are to address multiple phases of construction, different workflows, everything from coordination meetings and pre-con to doing faster bids, quantity takeoff, estimation, all the way through project closeout, doing punch lists, taking a set of as-builts, and handing over that file set to your owner. With that being said, Grant, I want to make sure that my screen is updating. Is it progressing so far?
Yeah, it sure is. It looks great.
I'll take that as yes. All right. Perfect. I'm going to hit escape. And I'm actually in Bluebeam Revu right now. That was just a PDF. A cool little trick here, if I go to View and go to Presentation mode, I'm actually taking a PDF and acting as if it was a PowerPoint presentation. Looks like I have some stuff open here. I do not need someone to bug me via IM, so let's go ahead and just exit out of that program real fast. Let's see if that happened. Yes, yes, exit. Get out of there. All right. So this is what the software looks like. Now, those of you that are familiar with the software, you kind of see a lot of the similarities of what you guys are used to seeing. If you're new to it, you have your standard file, edit, view, document, even markups, measurements, all right here within the interface. Now, something that to note about this interface is that it's very easy to customize. So if I go to View here, you can see we got this little profile symbol, little profile guy, and I can actually change different profiles here. So if I go to maybe just a tablet profile, notice how it completely reorients my interface, maximizes my viewable surface area, and just brings up the tools that most tablet users need. Now, I personally prefer to use my construction profile. That's, again, the industry I come from. And this is just a little more beneficial to me. It's got a lot of the tools I need to use on a regular basis. But I'm kind of showing you about PDFs. We talked a lot about PDFs. But since we're going to focus specifically on BIM, we need to talk about how to create some PDFs. So with that being said, I'm going to pop open a cool little panel here. I've got panels on the right, the left side, as well as the bottom here. These house a number of the largest features within Bluebeam Revu that you guys need to be using on a regular basis to really streamline those workflows. If you're not sure where something is, that's no problem. This little tab access caret right here. If I want to see where the properties is, just go down to properties. It opens up the appropriate panel for you. Again, I am failing. I'm showing all sorts of email and IMs to you, so let's go ahead and make sure to get rid of those. My apologies. How unprofessional of me. All right. We should be good now. So I have opened up my File Access tab here. And think of the File Access tab kind of like your favorites. So instead of opening up my Windows folder and navigating 6, 7 folders deep to find the files I want to work with, I've actually pinned them here. So if I want to open up building codes, you can see building codes. Here's A201. And you really can go through here and start to open up files. Now I also even pinned a whole folder. So if I click on that folder, I'm in that folder, I have access to those files pretty quickly here. So I'm going to open up a couple of slide decks that I think is going to be pertinent information for us. Let's talk about Revit and Navisworks. So we actually build our software to directly plug into the Autodesk product line. It will recognize line weights, font styles. You can go ahead and put security settings, passwords, stamps, logos. You can create digital signature fields, all right from within Autodesk by using their plugin. Again, we update those plugins whenever Autodesk updates their product line to make sure that everything is done quickly, effectively, and easily, so that when you guys make a PDF, it looks like the plot that you guys want it to be. But the plugin for Revit has got some pretty powerful features here. First and foremost, the simple one is the current view that you're working in. One click, create a PDF. It will recognize all that vector information, create a PDF out of it, and say, where do you want to save it? What do you want to call it? One of my favorite features of Revit is the batch PDF creation right here, where I can select multiple different sheets of different views, whether it's elevations, the legend symbols, whatever you guys choose. You can go and click those 150 sheets, go to lunch, come back, and you'll have your 150 PDFs. So you don't have to go to each individual view and go file, print the PDF, wait for it, go to the next view, so on and so forth. really save a lot of time by using that batch PDF creation tool here. And we're going to focus mostly on 3D PDF files today, guys. Really talk about the BIM world, but we do have the ability to create 3D PDFs, get model information, understand element data, all from Revit, but it's going to be translated into a very shareable, smaller file format all around a 3D PDF. So instead of sharing your Revit models with the contractors, hand them a PDF. They have access to all the information they need right there. All right, so I'm in Revit, and you can see up here in the add-ins right here, this is what the plugin looks like. Simple Bluebeam. If I click the next slide here, when you click on this, there are those three options I was talking about. Create PDF. You can change a bunch of settings in here, and this is where you'd actually find your batch command. And here's creating 3D PDFs. But a little bit more about the settings and how these plugins work is if I go ahead and hit change settings, you can really go in here and get some very detailed information about your PDFs or from your model itself. If you want the proper file name, you have those checkboxes there. If you want a higher DPI, you can do that. This will be vector information. You can zoom in infinitely. It won't be pixelated. You can choose to plot current view or sheet sets. A bunch of different options in here. If I go to selecting my different view set, this is what I mean when I say you can select your different views to create that batch PDF file. And so something that's kind of new to you guys, if you haven't seen it before, is this show command down here. So if you only want to see all elevations, you can click all elevations, and it'll populate right here. And you can go ahead and select the elevations that you'd like. So go ahead and choose the sheets, the different views that you want. Hit OK, and you can go through here and create a new page setup. You can choose to select the native Revit file format. So if you have an 8.5 by 11 as one of your sheet sizes versus 11 by 17 versus a 30 by 42, Revu understands to create the appropriate size PDF. So it won't just be the very large file format for all of them. It will use that native view from Revit. Again, you can go ahead and adjust all those settings there. But for the sake of time, let's say, okay, go review, create us some PDFs. This will go ahead and start here. If you have like addendums that you're using, you can go ahead and append the file name with giving a prefix or a suffix. That's no problem. And then you'll get a confirmation at the end here, and you see that this is successful in creating all of these sheets from there. So that's a little bit of the 2D world. Let's talk about 3D PDFs and really working, collaborating in that BIM model more. So let's go ahead. You can see that 3D PDF here. They've got a few different options. One is if you just hit, you go ahead and create a bounding box, and you just want to isolate the stairwell. You can do that. And if you hit Create 3D PDF, it'll create a file that's really just a .pdf. Go ahead and send it to somebody else. It'll show the PDF. They open it up, and they go, wow, I had no idea I was getting a 3D model on this. The Use 3D option down here actually allows our customers to take 3D content and embed it into a 2D PDF. It's really powerful, especially when you're responding to RFIs with the model and not just a snapshot of maybe the sheet. So a very powerful way to go ahead and embed content, even down to being able to copy content to a clipboard. And if I was to go through here and say, create this for me, you can choose your background settings, your page size, lighting schemes, rendering mode, whether it's transparent or solid, and you would get that model right there in Bluebeam Revu. That's kind of what a snapshot looks like of a 3D PDF in our software. And we will go into this model in a second as a quick little teaser to it. Let's just take a look at this. I've got my 3D PDFs right here. If I want to see this arc link model there, let's go ahead and open this up. Now if I zoom out, this actually is a full 3D PDF. And you have multiple ways to go ahead and choose to work with these. So here's spin mode. So this is a full 3D PDF. So a little teaser on that. I'm going to cover the Navisworks plugin slides real quick before we continue our discussion about these 3D models and a PDF file format. So Navisworks, very similar to the Revit plugin. However, Navisworks is a 3D model compiler. You don't typically create 2D PDFs from there. So our plugin really is only just to create 3D models from Navisworks. So you can take even this huge model here. It looks like a stadium with a big seating area. And you can click that Create PDF button here. You can do that, no problem. If you want to go through here and use your clash detection, you can go ahead and isolate clashes, select certain elements, and just copy those elements to clipboard and just create models out of those clashes that are detected. And you can even communicate about those downstream. But here's that 3D PDF. I'm going to apply the cutting plane to it here. You can see inside the stadium what that looks like. All right. Let's go ahead and hit Escape again. I think I'm done with the slide deck. Hey, Grant, do you guys have any questions about this so far, or should I just move on forward with the presentation?
I think that this is going great, and I think that you should continue in the direction you're headed.
Perfect. Okay, guys, I'm unfortunately presenting kind of by myself today. I don't have another Bluebeamer with me. Please do put those questions in the chat window, the questions window of the GoToWebinar that you guys are in. I will definitely leave some time at the end here to answer those questions for you. So please do make use of that questions window, that chat window. I'll make sure to hit those at the end of this presentation. All right, so I've got multiple PDFs open, and you can see them all kind of open across up here pretty easily. Now, if it's building codes, it recognizes 8.5 by 11. If I scroll down, it'll scroll up and down just like you expect. So on sheet A201, let's open up this one over here. It actually recognizes, it's more like AutoCAD. If I scroll over these stairs, it'll zoom right into it. If I hold my center scroll wheel down, it will pan, scroll down to zoom out. But communicating and collaborating is very easy. So here are my markups here. And if I want to create a call-out, this is a call-out. Pretty simple. Everything from pens, highlighters, to call-outs, text boxes, and a text box is available in the software for you. So a few things that we do differently is, let's talk about maybe a curtain wall mullion. If I want to say, this is actually the image of the curtain wall I want to see, I can pop that image in right there, just like that. Hit A to draw an arrow, and I want to know about that right there. If I want to make this arrow a little bit bigger, these are our basic 2D markups on a 2D PDF. And like I said, you can go ahead and use a cloud, create some complex shapes if you'd like, close it up, and there you have it. Now all these markups, just as a quick review, fully customizable. You can go ahead and give them a fill color, change that fill opacity so you can see through it, and maybe give it the color of blue and bolden up this line a little bit. Now personally, I prefer to go ahead and use the properties panel. So let's go ahead and create another kind of wacky looking shape here. Let's turn these guys off. And if I right-click is one of our best friends in the software. It brings up our context menu. So this is going to, if you're a user of Revu already, that right-click feature, very powerful in saving you guys time, reduce the number of clicks you are required to do, and open up the properties panel right here. So this will give me all options to customize a markup. Let me go ahead and do this, give it the same fill color of yellow. I can hit the fill opacity up or down, give it a color of blue, and even bolden up that line width pretty easily. So there it is. You can go ahead and move these around. Very simple with using these yellow nodes. Our blue nodes here will go ahead and scale it. The orange ones will rotate it. And there you have it. Okay, so that's just basic 2D markups, putting pictures in there. But this is communicating clearly, quickly, concisely on a 2D PDF. Now, if we know the scale of something, we can go ahead and give you a length measurement. And if, again, we know about scale, you can take areas. So there are tools in here built specifically for AEC, doing estimating, quality takeoffs. But let's go ahead and apply these concepts to a 3D world. If I'm not sure where my model is anymore, I got a really handy little down arrow right here, and I can see that my stair model is right here. And we are back to this. So let's really dig into the 3D PDF file format now, guys. So if I was to show this to you, notice right here, it's actually, like I said, it's a .pdf. It's not any sort of proprietary file format. You can send it to somebody else, like I said, like Acrobat, and they'll be able to access this model. Now, if you're working in the 3D world, there is a lot of information that you guys are adding to your Revit models, your Navisworks models. You're putting a ton of time and effort into that model, so we obviously want to recognize that information. So if I go to tab access again, when working with 3D PDF, a good rule of thumb is to go to that 3D model tree. And here it is. So you can see in this section down here, my 3D model tree, if I want to turn off doors, I can do that. Maybe the pads, slab edges, stairs, turn those on and off, but it recognizes this information. Now, you really can get down to the nitty-gritty and go down to just a specific element. So if I click on this door, it will actually show me which element that is. Or this one here, it really will dig down. And notice how it really recognizes all of the information you guys are adding in that model. You want to take that, translate it into a more shareable file format, not give people access to your full design model, but give them access to the information that they need to get their jobs done. Now we also recognize views. So if I click on this view, if I go to the left view, these are all preset views that, again, came over from Revit. Here's back to the ISO. All right. With that being said, let's talk about a few more things. Again, if I want to know my property information about certain things, or need to talk about property information, I can get a lot of that right here. I can see this is a 36 by 84 inch element. However, I talked about properties early. Let's go ahead and open up that tab access again and take a look at my properties panel. So if I click on a specific element, like this door, again, it's going to go ahead and show me those element properties. So if I get an RFI from maybe a general contractor out in the field, and he applies a text box here and says, what is the size of this door? I've actually already answered that. He has access to this information. So notice how I put a 2D markup on a 3D PDF. So this actually will save a markup view for me, as shown here, right there. So maybe if I want to edit this and call it, let's say RFI number 123. What is the size of this door? There it is. Now in this markup view, I can even rename this view and call it RFI number 123. So I just added a new view to my model. And again, we can continue to add markups to this view, that's no problem. And it can be complex shapes. You can, just like always, revise any of these markups, customize them. When I click this little blue X up here, I go back into 3D viewing mode. So I'm back into the full model, and I see this markup indicator right here. So when I click on this markup indicator, even if it's on the back side of the building, I can see it. It goes right back to it and should show me the markups that I placed there. The markups list down here at the bottom of the software keeps a running track of every single markup that's placed, and there you can see that too. Let's go ahead and make another markup view right here. So maybe I have a question about this handrail. So let's do the same thing. Except I'm going to use my tool chest here. So I will open up my tool chest. And these are actually keeping track of every single markup that I'm placing, that I placed in the software. So there is that kind of wonky looking markup I created earlier. If I want to use them on a regular basis, just drag and drop them to a particular tool chest. I created a Bluebeam Comments one right here. And I can go ahead and put a cloud around this, make it a lot easier to see, and say, call it maybe RFI number 124. How far does the net type handrail extend? Beyond the landing. Sorry for the improper typing. But notice if I'm moving a little too fast, there's a little squiggly line right there. Review is pretty smart with our markups. It says I've misspelled. Again, I introduced that right-click functionality early on. Let's right-click this. Go ahead and change the landing. There you go. So now I've got two markup indicators. Now, if I click back this one, it goes back to that view for me. Again, we can go through here in the model tree and call this rename view, RFI number 124. And if I send this off to somebody else, they will have access to both of these views, so they can click on the last view. Oh, RFI 124, what's that? There you go. All right. So that's kind of the basics of 3D PDFs. Now, this is just a simple cutout of the stair model. Let's do something a little more advanced. Let's dig into some more functionality of what these models and what the software is capable of. So back to File Access tab here. And let's open up my folder. And I want to open up this, actually this house model right here. So again, this is a full kind of house model. And here is my 3D model tree. And the same information is shown here. You can turn these things on, off. Same functionality, spin this around, change your selection mode, whether you prefer rotate, spin, camera mode, select. All those are available for you. But if I want to change maybe just the view style, if I want to see transparent, that's no problem. Or transparent wireframe, you can see that too. So again, we really do want to give you the tools that that you might need to share this information with your customers or your colleagues. So back to this model. So maybe I have a question about the stairwell in this house, and I want to put a markup on there. But it's kind of difficult to get in there and zoom in and try to find it. So let's go ahead and apply a cutting plane. So I just hit the cutting plane symbol right here, and notice my cross-section properties have turned on. And I can go ahead and give this an offset and really dig into this information here pretty easily. So change that. Let's go ahead and change this plane to more of an X-plane. And you can really make use of this information. So now, if I want to go through here, same thing. Let's go ahead and mark this up. And the red does not work for me. Let's go back to my tool chest and say, how many risers on this stair? Well, just like that. Again, you can click out of this. You see that markup indicator. Turn this cutting section off. I click on this, it'll go right back to that last view, puts the cutting plane on for me and everything. But how do we apply this to larger models? So maybe I'm working on a hospital again, and I have a question about the elevator shaft in the center of the building. Well, cutting from one plane is just not enough for me. So let's go ahead and show a section box here. And if I click on the section box, you should see some arrows pop up. Now I can cut in from multiple sides here. If I want to cut in from that direction, cut off the top of it, coming from this side, that's pushing the model from here as well. Let's go ahead and also push back through there. Ooh, all right, I'm getting more of a view that I like. It looks like I got a pretty big door in here. If I was in a hospital, again, this could be an elevator shaft. Let's go ahead and mark this view up. If I could click properly today, I'm having some issues as a presenter today. My apologies there. And do the same thing. RFI number 222. How large is this elevator? And back to that. Again, from the 3D model tree, you can see this markup views. Go back to my ISO, turn off the cutting planes. But we got some really helpful information. So collaborating around the model, marking up around the model, design review, changes. You can even actually upload this all to a studio session. This will allow us to upload this 3D PDF to Studio. And you can have up to 500 people marking up and collaborating around this model all simultaneously together in real time. It keeps track of who said what, when they said it. It keeps pretty much a running record of all that information, so you have a set of meeting minutes. But now collaboration around a 3D model is very fast, very powerful, especially with all these markups right there. Something to note when you're in Studio, if maybe Grant was in Studio with me, I couldn't edit or change any of his comments. He couldn't edit or change any of my comments. It's got complete accountability within Studio. I strongly suggest you guys taking a look at that. And that's not the topic or the focus of today's webinar, so let's go back to those 3D PDFs again. So back to my 3D model view here. And let's go ahead and turn these, turn it all back on so I can see the entire model. Now we've got some other really cool functionalities within the software. So if I want to maybe show animation or how something is constructed, we can actually really get this model information and start to manipulate it. So if I click on this roof here, I've got a very powerful tool called Translate. So let's turn this on. And you can see I've got a number of different, I guess, sphere, orbits, and arrows. Let's take this element and actually drag it up and out. So I click on this chimney stack, it should pull it off, pull and rotate it. You can move that around. But you can really go through here and pull apart the model. And you can see that those elements are moving out. Some other cool features that you got in here. If I go to like a select mode down here, if I hold control, I can create a sphere of influence. And it will select everything with that sphere, within that sphere of influence. So I've selected that region. Maybe I have some questions about the curtain wall panel of this area. I can right-click them, and let's just go ahead and isolate. And now I just isolated a piece or a portion of that model. Let's go back to that spin mode. It's a little easier to see. Oh, okay, the markup view. All right, back to select. Let's go ahead and drag that out again and isolate. Even when I mess up, it's not too difficult to go back to it. Hopefully my screen updated. Yes? No? Let's try that one more time. You could a sphere of influence or even a cube of influence. So let's isolate that part. There you go. And start marking up. No problem. So let's, that's kind of, I guess, the basics of 3D PDFs, of what it's capable of. That model information is very key. Have access to this information here. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at applying some animation, like I was just talking about. So notice I keep going back to the file access, so I can use those PDFs on a regular basis. And I've pinned that folder here. I've actually gone through here and animated a connection detail. So this is a bridge, or a piece of a bridge, and I want to see how these things are pulled apart or connected. I've actually created multiple views. So here's view 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can actually put this in spin mode if I want to spin this model around and have this as a presentation. Well, if I'm going to get to the owner, take that model and just put it in spin mode. It's always a very good wow factor right there. But I can also choose to put this into cycle views mode. So if I want to see each view how this works, this will actually show an animation of how these things are pulled apart or assembled. You can go either direction. And my hands are off, so it's just cycling through all those views that I created earlier, kind of like I did markup view number 1, markup view number 2. You've got that for you. Another really powerful one that I like, it's kind of just cool for anybody that's doing maybe sort of manufacturing that's on the call. I don't want to leave you guys out of it. So let's go ahead and show this transmission sample here. If you are doing any sort of, like I said, manufacturing, here's the basic model right here. Again, you can put that translate feature on the cutting plane, translate, click something here, pull it out. I can ask an RFI, what's the inner diameter, what's the diameter of this guide, pull this thing apart pretty easily, and really get down to the nitty-gritty of this. But again, if I do that cycle views, I've exploded it, and here's the holistic picture. So you can kind of see what those two things look like by each other. So they've got a lot of different customers using these features in many different ways to streamline their workflow, ask those questions, respond to RFIs. Again, you have all the information about this element or this part all right within that 3D PDF. Okay, let's talk about an RFI. Let's take an RFI example. So I want to create a new PDF. I'm the contractor. We'll do a little role playing. I'll be a contractor as well as an architect. But as the contractor here, I want to create a new PDF, but it's actually going to be an RFI, and I want it to be a form. So this form was created using our form creator. So I think it's within, right there, form. So you can go ahead and actually create a PDF form. That's included with Review Extreme. I can put today's date in here, 8/29/13. We call this RFI number 124. And then this can be from Aaron to me, I guess. Information requested, handrail over extend length. So now here in my description, and I'm just going to go to Thumbnails tab so you can see that this is just a simple 8.5 by 11 PDF, a flat PDF here. My description, I will just say, how far do the handrails extend beyond landing? see image below or picture below. Okay, now I think you guys kind of remember me asking this question early on. Let's go ahead and really get down to what the software is capable of. So I'm an RFI. So I'm a contractor. I work in a 2D world on a regular basis, right? So I've got this RFI here. I want to know how far the handrail extends. Great. So let's go ahead and go to my sheet that I'm working in. And this is the sheet this is the actual stairwell in question. I've got a really cool tool right here called Snapshot. This lets me copy PDF content to my clipboard. So if I really want to get some detailed information, I can get these column lines in here and kind of get a pretty good space of what that looks like. That little flash of blue copies anything I just selected in that rectangle to my clipboard. So let's go back to this document here. I'm going to right-click and paste it. All right, now let's go ahead and put this information right into this PDF I'm working with. And there it is. And then again, we can go ahead and say, right here, go ahead and put a call out in here as well. It looks like I'm moving a little too quick today. Put a call out in here. I'm a bad driver today, guys. I'm sorry. This handrail at floor number 2. Okay, so now I'm the architect. I received this RFI. The contractor did a pretty good job of actually showing me where this issue is. I know exactly which handrail we're talking about and what for. Okay, so I've got this single page RFI here. I'm going to go ahead as the architect as a response and say, see the model below. Well, what model below? Well, let's go ahead and actually create a new sheet. For those of you that don't know about this button down here in the bottom right-hand corner, I can create a blank page right there. So I just added a second page to my PDF. So here's the RFI here at the top, and there's that blank page. So now if I go through here, and remember I told you early on, and my Revit plugins, Revit plugins here. I have a few different ways to create PDFs. I can create a full 3D PDF, which is what we've been working with so far. I told you that a U3D file allows you to embed 3D content into a 2D PDF. So let's actually use a U3D file for this RFI right here. Now if I go to Edit, here's my 3D editor. What this really does is allows me to place content, 3D content, into a 2D world. So it says, all right, what file do you want me to use, Aaron? Okay, I will navigate to my U3D file. Here's my stair handrail connection that I had early on. Let's go ahead and use this. You can go ahead and choose all of your views. You can go back to any of one of those views that we previously saved. Lighting schema, background color, rendering mode. Go ahead and choose those options as you will. Hit OK. Aha! Now notice I've got this cool 2D PDF here, this RFI I'm working in, but now I really got this information here in that model. Okay, so let's go and answer this guy's question. Use some tool chest items here, cloud this up, and handrail extends 18 inches as shown. Done. Now, again, you can see this here, but you can also see the views, markup view. You can click on it. It's down here in the markups list. You can freeze this view. That information is definitely accessible by anyone that can view 3D PDFs. Any other file, any software that views 3D PDFs, they have access to all this information here. So I've got this great PDF here. I'm done. My job is done here. Let's go ahead and hit this email button. This will attach this PDF to an email for me. I can send it to bob@contractinginc.com and say, here's your answer. My job's done. Very, very quick, very easy to use. Okay. With that being said, that's a lot of the basics. I barely covered what the software is capable of, but we really wanted to make sure to focus on the 3D information of the 3D content of what Bluebeam Revu is capable of in a BIM world. And hopefully I was able to show that to you guys today. I'm just going to go back to this particular view right here. I'm going to put it in spin mode because why not? You can see it's just spinning around. And I'm going to turn us back over to Grant to kind of close us out with any closing remarks from Grant, and then we'll open it up to questions.
So, Aaron, one thing that I am wondering about is, do you have any information with regards to the iPad 2.0 or 2.5 release? Is there some information you can share with our audience on that?
Is there information I can share with Revu iPad 2.0? Honestly, I'm not the best with the Revu iPad. I use it on a very rare basis. I think I've only used it like 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
So I would go rely on my website for the most part, and I would take a look at those products, and I think I can find Revu iPad in here somewhere down here. Probably right here. But some new features that were added to it. It doesn't look, yeah, there it is. Some new features that were added to it is now you can actually take measurements from Revu iPad right in the field. It's easier to go ahead and get your PDFs to the iPad as well by using Studio. The markup PDFs have gotten an upgrade in there as well. So the drawing resolution and everything is a lot faster than it once was. That was a big key item. It was increased compatibility, make it faster, make it render quicker, let us mark those things up a lot faster. I know that the measurement markups was one of the biggest requests that we had for Revu iPad, and that we included that in this recent release here. You've got your basics for tracking markups, collaborating in real time together with Studio there. Same thing with your tool chest and basic navigation. But in here, there should be a good video of all the new features that were released. Unfortunately, Grant, you hit on one of my big weak points. I don't know iPad that well, but you can see how to find this information pretty quickly.
Perfect. Hey, I'm sorry for throwing you a curveball there at the end, but
no, it's all right.
Great information. So, Aaron, is the plan to open up the line so that customers can actually voice a question to you?
I actually have a whole list of questions here in the questions box to answer, and I was just kind of read them out loud and answer them as we kind of one at a time. We've got a lot of people on the line, so I don't want it to be too crazy with so many people kind of all talking at once. So please do type it into the questions field. I'm more than happy to answer those for you. Okay, so the first question I have is, does the client need Revu to do the 3D? I think that is a question that's answered in 2 parts. So number 1, for this plugin here, the Revit model plugin, in order to create this 3D PDF, they actually need Revu CAD or Revu Extreme to get that PDF creation plugin. Now, if they want to just go ahead and open up that 3D PDF, and if I could find one of them, like this stair model right here, they can open that up in any PDF software that supports 3D PDF. I know Acrobat definitely does, but there are a lot of other PDF viewers out there that I know do not support 3D viewing. Almost everybody has Adobe Reader on their computer now, so sharing this content is no problem at all. Okay, so it looks like the next question is, it says, I have Revit MEP, Navisworks, and Bluebeam Revu. How do I get the Bluebeam plugins installed on my Revit and Navisworks? That is a great question. So make sure that you are using either the CAD or the Extreme Edition to make sure that you have those plugins. Now, if you have the CAD or Extreme Edition and you're still not seeing them, you want to go up to this Help command right here. You click on Help, and then if you go to the Administrator, this can also be launched directly from Windows down here, and you'll see the very first section says Plugins. So it recognizes that you have those your Revit and Navisworks installed. Those 2 things might not be checked for some reason. Maybe it wasn't installed properly upon setup. Just go ahead and click those 2 plugins for Revit and for Navisworks. Hit OK. Restart your computer. I suggest it. I think you just have to restart actually Navisworks or Revit to have them load. But I would recommend restarting your computer after that to make sure it works, and that will take care of it for you. Okay, the next one I have is, how does the end user view the 3D PDF file? What programs can they use? Great question again. I think I covered that. Any PDF software. Any PDF software that has 3D PDF capabilities can go ahead and view these files. Another one was, yes, this webinar is being recorded. I'm going to provide it to Managed Design, so definitely contact Grant and his team to get a copy of this. It might be posted on the website. I'm not quite sure yet, but we did record this webinar. And then I have another question about implementing this into a specific workflow from Lonnie. Lonnie, we should touch base after this if you get with Grant, and we can go ahead and talk about how to implement this into your specific workflow. All right, another one I see is, can Bluebeam be used / added on the AutoCAD versus Revit? So if I'm understanding the question properly, you want to create 3D PDFs from AutoCAD. Now, we do support a new file type, and that's called IFC. So if I kind of go on here to 3D files, IFC is actually another 3D file format that a lot of other design softwares use. So they often create things with .ifc. There is a couple-step process that you can use from AutoCAD to create a .ifc file. Once you have that, you can create a 3D PDF out of it with our software very easily. But we do not have a direct plug-in to AutoCAD to create that 3D model. I've also seen people take their AutoCAD files, open them with Revit or Navisworks, and then just use that plugin right there to create that 3D PDF.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes.
This is Grant. I just did want to add that any of the customers on the line, please feel free to reach out to your sales representative at Managed Design or myself, and we can queue up kind of a customized, very focused demonstration to you for some of these more advanced features that you'd like to take a look at. I know that Rob Black has a team from one of his key accounts that wants to take a deeper dive, so we're happy to facilitate that.
Thank you very much, Grant. And please do contact Managed Design for any questions on pricing or anything as well. All right, the next question I see here, Grant, is there an Android tablet app or is it all iPad? So currently, for mobile, we've got Revu iPad. Also, any mobile device that supports Windows 8, that's got to be the full version of Windows 8, not RT. You can go ahead and run this on those mobile computers. Now, for Android, we do not currently have an Android application. We actually released some information recently about our plan for supporting Mac and Android. So we are actively working to build our Mac version. We're also looking to support a web-based or browser-based version of Bluebeam Revu, so any device can access this in the future. So I've got another great question. Brent, it's asking about what is the best way to keep track of all of your RFIs or change orders to date that you've created. Now we see this, it's a common question, but every customer is different. Every architectural firm, contracting firm, subcontracting firm, they're all different in the way they like to organize information, organize their projects, how they want this information to all be consolidated together. So I can't really give you the best way to do it because it really depends upon your work and your workflow. But if I could add a suggestion here, it would be to actually use Studio. So I talked about Studio early on. This is multiple people marking up a PDF in real time together. That's called Studio Sessions. Now we have another one called Studio Projects here. This is a lightweight document management system. This allows you to upload any file format, whether it's a PDF, a Revit model as shown here, any AutoCAD files, and you can give access to this project to any team member that you want. So you've got a lot of people going through and actually checking things out. If I right-click it, you can check it out. You can go ahead and revise things, add new comments, check it back in, and you can even go through here and see a revision history of the file. So you can see that on this date I actually created this. Maybe I added the cloud on this date, and you can see that this will quickly progress and move up and show you the latest revisions of those documents. If you made a mistake, a design flaw like 7 revisions ago, we can always go back here and restore a previous revision just in case you need to. But we've got a lot of people in here that will also have all of their RFIs in here. We'll continue to add those RFIs to their document or the project all within the system. From here, you can actually go ahead and choose some settings. And those settings, you can actually choose a lot of the restrictions for any user. So if I go to permissions, I can choose to allow or deny any person that I invite to the session or the studio project to go to add files, delete files, edit them, check them out, revoke permissions, send files to sessions. But it gives you a lot of functionality and permissions that you can use right here. You can also choose to, if you hit restrict users, only people that you add to this list here will be allowed to go into your project. So you really have some very tight security control of this project here. So I would recommend using a method that works for you guys. Make sure it's organized clearly and the project team gets that how this is going to be implemented and organized through the life of your project so that you guys can go ahead and get a lot more work done a lot faster. An exact solution, I can't tell you, I don't know your workflow yet. A great question from Paul, does Bluebeam have a plugin to SketchUp? Currently, we do not have a plugin to SketchUp at this point in time. If we cannot, actually, if we don't have an exact plugin to something, like if I was to open up Word, we've got plugins to the Office suite as well to create PDFs, change settings, batch PDF, just like the CAD or Autodesk design software they're showing you. If you don't have a plugin to it, if you go to File, Print, you can go ahead and use that PDF printer right here to create PDFs out of it. But you will not be able to create a 3D PDF from SketchUp unless, again, you use that .ifc file format. Okay, everybody, I think that's the last of the questions. I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you for attending. We really appreciate it. It's great talking to you all. Please do contact Managed Design. I'm going to turn it over to Grant again just for final remarks, and we're going to go ahead and close out this session.
So, Aaron, thank you so much for helping us communicate with our key customers here in the Twin Cities. Managed Design is headed towards platinum dealership level for Bluebeam, so we very much appreciate all that you do for us. Thank you for the customers on the line. Please reach out if you need additional information to either your sales representative or myself, and we'll track down the answers for you. Thanks so much, and have a great day.
Bye, all. Thank you again.